It's time to cook the book.
I only got one thing to say. How about them Cowboys? If you guys did not know, welcome back to Cook the Book, where we cook up a same game parlay while I make a traditional dish from where Monday Night Football is going to be for the week. Like I said, if you didn't know, you're going to be doing it this week with a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. Yes, I am born and raised Cowboys fan. This week, we've got Monday Night Football, Cardinals versus the Cowboys. This game is actually very near and dear to my heart because I lived in Arizona for 10 years. So I am very familiar with Cardinals football, been to several games, and I have a little soft spot for the Cardinals. But I was also born and raised a Dallas Cowboys fan, and I will get into the story of why that is in a little bit. For today's dish, though, we're going to try to get a little bit of flavor of both sides from Texas and from Arizona by doing a dish from Texas and a drink from Arizona. So to start, we are going to be making a Frito Pie, which is very Texas of us, and then we are going to accompany it with a prickly pear margarita, which is very close to the border, and it's very Arizona-esque. So if you've never had a prickly pear margarita, you gotta have one. They are to die for. I've actually never had Frito Pie, so this will be a first-time try for me, and I'm very excited to get going with it. So before we get into this, guys, and before we are cooking the book, I gotta say, I've been on a little 2-week bye here with Cook the Book, and that is because I went to Italy on a fantastic trip. So I will give you guys some Italy stories throughout the episode. Stay tuned. If I don't hit our parlay, remember, I do have a parlay punishment, and this week we have a very special contest that I am going to be doing. So keep watching the episode for how you can enter and how you can win a crazy, amazing prize. Let's get to it and cook the book. Let's start making our Texas Frito Pie. And first we're gonna go over our ingredients that we are gonna need. And this one is honestly very basic and simple. It's basically chili Frito in a pan. So let's begin. First you're gonna need some ground beef. I think the leaner the better. I don't like a lot of fat in my ground beef. We're gonna need an onion, of course, for flavor, medium to small size. You're going to need some chili seasoning. Then you're gonna go, of course, with some good old-fashioned Fritos right here. Then we're gonna need diced tomatoes. Fire roasted is the way to go for sure. And then I know this is controversial. A lot of people in Texas do not believe in putting beans in their chili, but because I'm trying to pay homage to being a Cowboys fan and also living in Arizona for 10 years, I'm adding beans to my chili because when you're in the Southwest, you do add beans. So we're going with the Texas dish, but I am gonna put a little flair of the Southwest in it, and we are adding some pinto beans. You're gonna need garlic for some seasoning. And then of course, you are going to need a lot of good old cheddar cheese. Now, if you can too, the coolest way to serve it when I'm making it for me and just a couple of people is going to be in a cast iron skillet. So that is what I will be using for serving and keeping it warm, and it's gonna look great. If you're doing this on the go and you're trying to make a tailgate way of doing it, putting it in small Frito bags and eating it like a walking taco, also a great way that you can make this happen. So first thing is first with our Frito Pie, you're going to take a pound of ground beef here. Like I said, the leaner the better. And you're just gonna brown it right on the stove. Top should be fairly easy. I had the most difficult time getting this out front to everyone, but we're just gonna take that out. So while we are browning our meat here, you're gonna break it up into tiny pieces, of course, and put it on low. I'm going to tell you guys the story because I feel like I owe you of how I became a Cowboys fan. So, if you've been following me or know me at all, you know I'm a Cowboys fan, but if not, here is the little story. I was born and raised in a small town of Sandwich, Illinois. So by proxy of location and by majority of my family on my mom's side, I should truly be a Chicago Bears fan because that is the area that I grew up closest to. A lot of my family is Bears fans. But here is the kicker. My dad is actually from the state of Iowa. And if you know Iowa, the thing that you love most in Iowa is actually college sports, because that's what they have. You're either a Hawkeye or a Cyclone, and I went to the University of Iowa, so of course I'm a Hawkeye. Go Hawks. But besides that, there's no professional teams. So when my dad was younger, he grew up with just, a few mainstream channels on his TV. And back when he was a kid, one of the only teams that was on TV all the time on one of those channels was the Dallas Cowboys. So he started watching a lot of Cowboys football. And as time went on, the Cowboys got better and better after Jerry Jones bought them, which is funny to say now because a lot of us Cowboys fans look at Jerry Jones and think he is the Achilles heel to the current Cowboys. But when he was the owner at the start, he did wonders for the Cowboys. And truly, I think that's where a lot of Cowboys fans really began their journey of being a Cowboys fan. My dad grew up loving Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irving, all those guys. Giant Emmitt Smith fan, that is his favorite player. And with that, he eventually met my mother. And when he met my mother, she grew up actually a Bears fan. But they, end up settling in Illinois. The story of how they met is pretty funny. I could get into that one day. But we'll just say they both worked at Walmart, and that is how they met back in the day. And he was a Cowboys fan, and lo and behold, he actually converted my mom to a Cowboys fan. So then she became a Cowboys fan, and then her little brother actually became a Cowboys fan because of my dad. And when my sister and I were born, we were born and raised Dallas Cowboys fans. So I've been a Cowboys fan my entire life, and actually for my entire life, they've been terrible. So I've actually never witnessed the Cowboys really being a good, exciting team to watch like people got to witness in the late 80s and early 90s. I guess majority of all the 90s, I should say. But yeah, that is how I became a Cowboys fan. I was born and raised one. I've never changed my allegiance. And to be honest, as much as I joke that I need to switch teams or become a fan of somebody else, I know I never will. I'm a diehard. I'm also a Cubs fan, so I know what pain is like, and I've endured it. But that is how I've become a Cowboys fan and how I stay true to the Dallas Cowboys star. So here I am, Dallas Cowboys fan, and it is what it is. While our meat is browning, let's dice up and chop up our medium-sized onion. I was thinking about it, and one of my favorite Dallas Cowboys memories actually has to do with the Cowboys and the Cardinals, which works perfectly for this week's Monday Night Football game. So for my dad's 60th birthday, our present to him is we actually flew him out to Arizona, and thanks to my amazing friend Danny, who is the reporter for the Cardinals, she got us big butt seats, let me tell you. We went to the Cowboys-Cardinals game together, and I gotta say, it's like one of my favorite memories with me and my dad because we both enjoy football so much. We both enjoy the Cowboys, and we really got to spend time together, so it was so fun. We did an early morning out in Glendale, Arizona, and we went to the bars, and we had breakfast, and we drank, and while we were there, crazy, but Jerry Jones just decided that he was going to surprise Cowboys fans that were out there for the Arizona game, and he just walked into the bar and like hung out with everybody. So got to meet Jerry Jones, which was really cool. He signed a hat for me, so that's one of my cool little things. As much as everybody likes to hate on Jerry Jones, I still like the guy. I can't help it. But that was a really exciting, cool memory for my dad and I, for us to be able to have that to share together. And on top of it, we got to have some fun. So I think my dad would probably agree too that was a fun memory for him to have, and it's something that we share that's super special, and I'll definitely never forget it. And I hope in the future, though, the Cowboys can beat the Cardinals, because in that game we went, thankfully we were a little bit tipsy and having fun, but the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals that season. Oh, just over here crying right now how beautiful that memory is, but I'm actually kidding. It's the onions. Actual legitimate tears right here. Like, me and onions do not go well together, but I love how they taste. Once your meat is completely browned, you are going to put in your onion that you have chopped here. So you're just gonna put that on in. And then you are also going to put in about a little teaspoon, well, this is a half. We're gonna put in a teaspoon of garlic. Take our garlic right here. I like a lot of garlic, so we're gonna go a little overboard. We're gonna put that right in. Now you're gonna just kind of mix this up, and you're basically going to let this sit and soften here on the stove until the onions are pretty soft. So realistically, it's probably only gonna take about 4 to 5 minutes. Make sure you're doing this on low. While our meat, garlic, and onions are marinating up here on the stove, let's get to the reason you're here. The Same Game Parlay. Cardinals, Cowboys, Monday Night Football. Now, I'm about to be a bit of a homer, but I do not care. We are going with the Dallas Cowboys on the money line. The Dallas Cowboys need this win this week to solidify themselves as a possible contender in the NFC East and create that momentum. I can't even believe I'm saying that. That sounds so homerish of me, because the reality is, even if the Cowboys were to make it to the playoffs, they're not making any noise. But we're just going to keep going with it. So the Cowboys on the money line. They just lost last week to the Broncos, which I don't know why I thought they could beat the Broncos, but I did think they could. Am I thinking the same thing this week with the Cardinals? Yeah, I am, because Dallas has one of the best offenses in all of football, averaging 31 points a game. They have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. And let me say something about George Pickens. I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of getting George Pickens in the offseason. I thought he was good in Pittsburgh, but like with Dallas, he's great. He is great. They are one of the most dangerous wideout duos right now in the NFL. And don't forget about Jake Ferguson. He's had a few down weeks. We'll get to him later, but the Cardinals are also very vulnerable against tight ends. Cardinals defense, allowing 22 points a game on average. That's about middle of the pack in the NFL. Where they're really giving it up, though, is in that pass game, allowing quarterbacks to complete at least 63% of their passes. Dallas is most dangerous through the air right now, so that is great news for Dak and company. Besides the fact that our offense is great, our defense may be crappy, but we are at home. We're coming off of a loss, and one thing I know about being a Cowboys fan is the Cowboys give you flashes of greatness here and there that make you keep hope alive, and I'm assuming that's what we're going to see this week again. Now, I don't want to touch the spread, because the Cowboys as favorites so far this year against the spread, they're only 1-3. So give me leg 1 Cowboys money line in our same game parlay. Now that you've had everything simmering on the stove, it's time to add in more. We're gonna do our pinto beans. I didn't completely drain these because you're making a chili base here, so you want that thickness from the bean juice. Next up, your can of fire roasted diced tomatoes. Again, they're going straight in there, no mess. And last but not least, this is very important, your chili mix. You can make this yourself with your own spices too, but it's a little bit easier to just buy the packet ready to go. So you're just gonna open this baby up and throw it in. I'm kind of trying to make it evenly dispersed. You are gonna let this all sit on the stove on low for about 10 minutes so that it can thicken. This is one of the easiest things that I've made so far on Cook the Book. You are going to let this cook and simmer here on the stove, stirring for about 5 to 10 minutes until it's thickened and ready for the Fritos. While I'm doing this, guys, tell you a little bit about why I love Arizona so much and how I ended up there. So I moved there in my early 20s, and I lived all my 20s and my early 30s out there, and truly it's easily my favorite place I've ever lived, and I've lived quite a few places. And also, all my friends are still there, so I miss Arizona dearly. Thankfully, I still own my condo there, so I try to go back as much as I can, but with having a baby now and a family, I don't get back as much as I would like. The goal is to eventually be snowbirds. There, or maybe live there again. We'll see. But one of my favorite things about Arizona is the fact that I made so many great friends and how fun Scottsdale is. There's just so much to do in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. One of my all-time favorite memories or things that I love to do besides just, going out and having a good time in Old Town was going to Cardinals games. I went to a ton of Cardinals games while I lived there, and despite the fact that they were always not very good, the Red Sea always shows up for that team, I must say. I've sat in the nosebleeds, I've sat close to the field, I've sat everywhere, and I will say the fans are very dedicated. I witnessed brawls in the nosebleeds before, and I've witnessed name calling in the close seats. So Arizona Cardinals fans do love their football team, regardless if they're good or they're bad. Plus, I mean, you can't ever bash Arizona because the weather is so fun. It's so great all the time. You can golf, you can do outdoor activities, you can hike. The scenery is absolutely stunning. I could go on and on and on about how much I love Arizona, but it just is literally my favorite place easily that I've ever lived, and I miss it to pieces. While we wait, let's start layering our Frito pie. And of course, to start, you gotta layer with the Fritos. So I was just talking about Arizona and how all my best friends live there, and that is actually why we went on a trip to Italy. One of my really good friends, Sarah, and her now husband, Eddie, got married in Tuscany, and let me just say, it was easily the most beautiful wedding I've ever been to. They kept it small. It was at this gorgeous venue, and they got married outside. The dance floor was like so intimate and cool because it was like in this old villa. It was almost like we were like dancing in this amazing Italian like villa living room. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just such like a cool intimate vibe. They had a live sax player. He was so good that went with the DJ. Their music was top notch. The food insane. We had traditional pasta at dinner as well as other Italian foods, but it was also like a 3-day event. So they had a welcome event at a winery in Tuscany. So we got to try wines and do like a little food and hang out with everybody. The second day was the rehearsal, and they did, I want to say it was like Neapolitan style pizza, like cooked right there for us during the rehearsal dinner at another really beautiful spot. That was so cool. And then the wedding was at this gorgeous villa. The entire experience was amazing, and it was so cool that we got to, go to Italy to celebrate their beautiful love and their wedding, but also got to be with like all of my friends. It was such a fun experience. We had our own Airbnb villa, the friend group, that we had a blast in. Let me tell you, we had so much fun. I just absolutely love getting to spend time with my friends, especially I like cherish it even more now that I don't live there anymore because I don't get to see them as often. But it was just the absolute best. And before we met up with the whole friend group, we did my partner and I, our own little trip to Rome, which that was my second time in Rome. We had a lot of fun. We saw the Colosseum. That was really cool. I didn't do the inside of the Colosseum the first time I went, so that was new for me. And we did this amazing like fine dining experience at this beautiful restaurant that overlooked all of Rome. That was so fun and cool and new for us because we had never done anything like that. And of course, we just explored the food and bar scene, went to the Trevi Fountain, Parthenon, all of that fun stuff while we were in Rome. And then we went to Florence. That was my first time ever in Florence. And let me just say, by far, my favorite city I've ever been to in Italy. I loved it. The Duomo is probably the most beautiful building I've ever seen. I don't know. I like go back and forth with, in Barcelona, saw some pretty beautiful things too, but it was so gorgeous. And like, we just like ate outside and had wine and sat outside like at the Duomo. And one of my favorite memories of the whole trip is all of us got pizza and we brought it to the Duomo late at night, and we all just sat in front of the Duomo and just ate our pizza and talked and hung out. And it was just, it was such just a fun time, and I can't wait to go on another trip. I love to travel, but I also love being home. It's such a juxtaposition, and I like battle in my head with like, I love being home, I love my routine, all of that, but I also love being spontaneous, and I love a good trip. I love to explore, I love to travel. So Italy, if you've never been, it is a must go to. I will say though, I don't think it's my favorite country I've been to in Europe. Now that we've got our Frito base for our Frito pie and our meat and the rest of these morsels inside are ready to go, we're gonna layer this on top of our Fritos. And while we are layering, let's go over leg 2 of our same game parlay for Cardinals Cowboys. And that is going to be Jake Ferguson, tight end of the Cowboys, to go over, I pulled this down a little bit, 35.5 receiving yards. Now, Jake Ferguson needs a bounce back right now. He's actually hit this under a 35.5 in 3 straight games. But we know, well, as Cowboys fans, that Dak Prescott trusts Ferguson when they are within that red zone area. That is where he sees majority of his targets. He needs a bounce back after putting up a big old goose egg against Denver. And who better to do it against than the Cardinals? They're allowing almost 69 yards a game. That's right, 69 yards a game to opposing tight ends. Not very good against that tight end position. Another thing that you're gonna look at, why I like this play with Ferguson, is 4 out of the last 5 tight ends that have faced the Cardinals have gone over this number of 35.5 receiving yards. We need a bounce back here from Ferguson, and it's gonna get done against the Cardinals. That is why I like him for over that 35.5 receiving. The actual number, I believe, currently is 40.5, but like I said, I did pull it down a little bit because I do feel like since CeeDee Lamb has been back, we're not seeing Ferguson get as many receptions as we were before. So he's more like the third receiving option as opposed to the second right now. One more thing to add, Ferguson gets majority of his yardage through the center of the field. Where did the Cardinals give up a lot of yardage? You guessed it, through the center of the field, baby. So go with Jake Ferguson to go over 35.5 receiving yards. So you've got your Fritos, and then you've got your meat over top. And next that we're gonna layer on the Frito pie is, of course, going to be a lot of cheese. You can do as many layers as you want of these 3 things for your Frito pie. So I'm gonna put quite a bit of cheese because I do love me some cheese, which is really funny because growing up, I really didn't like cheese at all, especially when it was melted, only if it was sprinkled cheese, or shredded cheese as most people call it, but I call it sprinkled cheese because that's what I called it my whole life. So we're gonna layer in that sprinkled cheese, and then you're going to repeat with the Frito pie of doing the Fritos, the meat, and then the cheese again. Now that the layers of our Frito pie are complete, this is optional. If you want, you can put it in the oven, bake it at 350 for about 5 minutes so the cheese melts and gets a little nice on top. I'm gonna do that because I think it's gonna make this taste a million times better. So 5 minutes in the oven. While that is in the oven, we are gonna quickly make a drink that pays homage to good old Arizona. Now, so you can do salt along your rim for your prickly pear margarita, or you can do tahini, like me. And I love tahini. It's like one of my favorite things that I became accustomed to in Arizona. Okay, worst job ever of putting tahini on a rim. Pretty basic. You're gonna take some silver tequila here, Blanco, clear tequila. I'm gonna put it in a shot. This is 100% agave. 100% agave is always better. Tequila is actually my liquor of choice anyway. I'm not a bartender either, so bear with me, guys. Then you're going to do lime juice, a jiggerful, as I like to say. If you want, I'm gonna do a squeeze of some fresh orange juice in here, because it does call for orange liqueur or triple sec. I'm trying to have a little bit less alcohol in this, so we're gonna go with some orange juice. Then, I already have it measured out, but your prickly pear juice, very hard to find in Kentucky, let me tell you. It's not hard to find in Arizona. Put that in. I'm gonna do a bit more lime juice. And then, if you want, which I'm gonna do, a splash of grenadine as well. Let me go put the ice in. Ice in our margarita glass. Ice in our shaker. Where the heck is my lid? Oh, here it is. The shaker's gonna come off sometimes, so shake it up, shake it up. Voila. There you have it. Prickly pear margarita. It should be like that magenta-y color like that. If you want, you could add a little lime wedge onto the side, but honestly, I'm pretty impressed with myself with this one. Cheers. Good job, Titi. That's good. Frito pie is out of the oven. The prickly pear margarita is made. It is time to dig in. This is my first time having Frito pie. I must say though, guys, this looks freaking delicious. I'm just diving right in. Ooh, it's hot though. I love that I'm paying homage to my Texas Dallas Cowboys fandom, but also my love and my home of Arizona. So fun. That's unreal. Guys, I don't know a single person that wouldn't like this. It's definitely not good for you. It's super unhealthy. Wow. But that is good. There's something about the Fritos. I think I'm learning that I really like Fritos also. The crunch of the Fritos with the... Oh my God. Nobody make Frito pie around me because I'll eat the whole thing. This is huge, so I can't eat it all, but wow, is this good. This is freaking delicious. I also love chili, so I don't know why I thought like there's any chance I wouldn't like this, but wow. Maybe this is why it's my favorite meal. Oh, I'm a Cowboy fan. It's Texas. Wash it down. My prickly pear margarita. Now that my masterpiece is complete, our last and final masterpiece of our same game parlay is going to be a play on the Arizona Cardinals because we gotta have a little bit of Cardinals in here for my sake. And we're gonna go with running back of the Cardinals, Zonovan Knight, to go over his rush attempts this week against Dallas. Dallas is allowing the most fantasy points right now to running backs in the entire NFL. Zonovan Knight is getting that starting position within the Cardinals backfield right now because Trey Benson still has one more week on the IR before he's allowed to come back in week 10. So he will be the lead back there. In 2 out of his last 3 games, the man has found himself in the end zone, and he is the option and pretty much the only guy that they've got when it comes to their run game. Right now, Kyler Murray, quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals, is questionable to play, but even if he doesn't, Jacoby Brissett is more than capable of getting the job done for the Cardinals through the air, but they're still going to need an option on the ground. That's going to be Knight. That is why I like him to go over his rushing attempts. When you've got a Dallas defense that is absolute garbage in both categories, a guy like Knight, who maybe you wouldn't be looking at to normally be an option even on like your fantasy roster, he's a great move for this week because of the fact the Dallas defense, I mean, it doesn't even exist. Does it exist at this point? I don't think it does. So give me Knight over his rush attempts. All in all, let's go over our same game parlay. We've got the Cowboys on the money line. How about them Cowboys, baby? Then we've got Jake Ferguson, 35+ receiving yards. And last but not least, Knight to go over his rush attempts, which I believe is going to be set around 10.5 to 11.5, depending on the book that you can get it at. Right now, that same game parlay comes out to plus 482. That is right. Pretty darn good odds. Now remember, depending on players' injuries, lines, odds, everything is subject to change. This is just what I'm getting it at the time of recording. Cook the book. So guys, with that is our same game parlay. This is our Frito pie and our prickly pear margarita. I've got one last thing that I want to go over. So if you stayed with me this entire time, be glad that you did. I am looking for this week, because I love Arizona and because I love the Dallas Cowboys so much, the biggest Dallas Cowboys fan or the biggest Arizona Cardinals fan. No. What you are going to do is, if you believe that you are the biggest Cardinals or the biggest Cowboys fan, you are going to send in a submission to me. It can be written, it can be a video, it can be pictures, it can be whatever the heck you want to prove that you are the biggest fan. Then next week's episode of Cook the Book, I will play or show or tell the story of the best Dallas fan and the best Cardinals fan, and I will have the viewers of the episode vote below who is the biggest overall fan. Now, whoever wins is going to be gifted tickets to either a Cardinals game or a Dallas game, depending on which fan wins by me. So I will be gifting one of you lucky fans tickets to an NFL game of your team. So all my super fans out there of the Cardinals and the Cowboys, I want to see why you are the biggest fan of your team. Please send me your submissions. It's going to be taylormathis792@gmail.com. Also put it in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this week's episode of Cook the Book. I just learned I love Fritos and Frito Pie. And I love Arizona and I love Dallas. Sorry for all the stories, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that jazz, and let's hopefully cook the book this week. How about them Cowboys, baby?
Honey, the food's ready.
It's time to cook the book.